Hello YouTube, welcome to my newest RimWorld scenario. It is medieval vampires, and the main mod that underpins this series will be the if I can find it, the medieval overhaul of RimWorld. I've just gone for 1.4 at the moment because obviously 1.5 is out, Anomaly. However, the mods are just a little, they only came out about 2 months ago, so the mods for the medieval stuff are just a little bit behind. So I've stuck with the 1.4 version, which is the biotech. And yeah, this is obviously the medieval playthrough, and with a nice twist of House Sanguin, which I think is a really cool mod. So massive, props to the developer here who did a good job on this mod. And that's what I'm sort of playing with. That's sort of the what we're doing. So let's go to the start. I've started off with 5 characters, with just a few bit of food and necessities. Here are the famous 5. So who have we got? We've got the 2 Grey brothers, I call them, Grey Mere and Grey Back. They're both werewolves, so they've got the werewolf trait. And they're tough jogger, same again, they're sort of a copy of each other. Only Grey Mere is into plants and Grey Back is into animals. They will transform in the next blood moon, or the next full moon rather I should say, in 6 days time. They'll become werewolves, and they'll be my kind of melee guys. So tough and good melee, and they can run fast. So yeah, and they'll be my main constructing force. By the way, they're sort of the heavy duty grunts of the operation. Harken is the leader of the group, or he will be the Lord, and I'll go over sort of the faction and what we are in the larger world in a bit. But yeah, he's the leader, and these are his traits, and he's sort of going to be my warden. Obviously, the leader needs to have good social, and he'll probably do a bit of intellectual, but mainly he's just a sort of a fighter and the leader. He's also obviously a sanguiphage, so very important. He's the main vampire. I've given them a bit of the vampires in this series are going to have a bit of a unique look to them. I've given them, so amongst obviously the standard sanguiphage xenogene, whatever we call it. I've added sheer white skin and red eyes for Harken here, and I've also given him a gaunt head because I wanted him to have because he's the leader, so I wanted him to have a specific look. Serena is his wife, so they're like husband and wife. And she's a sanguiphage as well, of course, with the sheer white skin and the red eyes added, but I didn't give her a gaunt head because I wanted her to have hair. So I think the gaunt head is just going to go on Harken. And Serena's there. Serena is she's going to be the shooting specialist, so she's going to be my hunter, hunting down wildlife and whatnot. Unfortunately, with the hunter, I didn't realise that it actually disables melee weapons. So this melee skill here is pretty redundant now. But yeah, she's good at shooting basically, and she's a vampire. And last but not least, we've got Kaiban. Actually, let me just say, so Harken and Serena, for those of you who like, sorry, what am I drawing a blank here? Skyrim. Elder Scrolls, Skyrim. Harken is the leader of the Vampire Coven in the Dawnguard DLC, and Serena's actually his daughter in Skyrim, but I've made them a husband and wife team, so that's the sort of the references there. And Qyburn is, if any of you are fans of the Game of Thrones series, Qyburn is the sort of like the shady maester that Cersei employs, and Qyburn is a sort of necromancer. He creates the mountain, he kind of brings him back to life. And Qyburn will be my medical person. He'll also be a warden, and he'll also do all the researching. But he's not a fighter, so I've given him absolutely no fighting capability. That's for sort of the others. He'll just sort of be my, the person. And he is a baseliner for now, but I've given him grey eyes just to give him a kind of a nice, cool little look. The Grey Brothers are baseliners as well, by the way. So nothing yet, but we'll do some stuff with the genes later. Right, let's look at the wider world. So that's my start. This is the world here. The seed is vampire, 30% coverage with very low population. I'm using a mod that does the sort of world beautification, it's called. And as you can see here, it adds this dark forest biome and makes the map a little bit different. And will be majority of the factions I've placed, actually, I've kind of moved everybody around. And you can all see they're basically in dark forest. That's where they all are. Majority of them, apart from a few on the outskirts here. Yeah, so let's go over the factions. So we'll start with House Sanguin, which is obviously, they're just over here. And they are, the leader is called Dracula, the Impaler. Obviously, everybody probably knows Dracula, it's the most famous vampire in our folklore. And House Sanguin is... obviously that is a faction, but we're also going to be called House Sanguin, so we are one and the same. We're just, Harkon is just a lord within, underneath Dracula in the faction. So that's why we've kind of started as allies with them, because we're part of the same faction, and we've got our ideology, which is just called the Blood Coven. It's fairly basic. It's just a supremacist blood feeding ideology. The deities are Lilith, the Night Mother, which is a callback to the Dark Brotherhood in the Elder Scrolls series. They're sort of god who they worship, and Dracula is the first vampire, of course, and he's the current ruler of House Sanguin, which is, above us. We're sort of a noble in that faction. We've got his chalice as well as one of our relics, but it's a quite simple ideology. I've got a few specialists. The Smith is always a good production one. Hunter is Serena, and I think I'm going to make Qyburn my necromancer as the moral guide, and as I said, Harkon will be the leader. But yeah, we don't mind cannibalism, we like blood feeders, etc. Okay, so let's go through the other factions. So all the other medieval factions, you've got so obviously we're House Sanguin, and there are allies here. House Amboise, House Soren, House Oswin, House Hesse, and the Empire. Obviously, this is from the Royalty DLC, and they are spread out like this. So yeah, House Soren, Amboise, Oswin, Hesse, and the Empire. And obviously, because we start here, the goal is to sort of take out the tribal. So there'll be kind of like 3 steps, because our ultimate goal is basically become the emperor of this land, and for House Sanguin to sort of beat all the other noble houses and eventually take on the emperor. However, there's a long path to get to that point, and what we're going to do is, so those are the noble factions. However, the more tribal factions, you've got the Impids, you've got the Neanderthal tribe, but like a tribal one, and then you've got the Wolf Clan, which are a bunch of wayward werewolves, which is obviously where Greyback and Greymare have come from. We've kind of enslaved them from there. So those are the tribal ones, and then finally with the second tier of kingdoms is we've got the lesser independent kingdoms, I've called them, which are this one here, Tibum Binbum, this dynasty here, and Venelor. So yeah, the first goal is to take out the tribals, then conquer the independent kingdoms, and then take on the noble houses, finishing the emperor here. So I think that's quite nice in the way that the roads are, and I've got a mod that we can build roads and stuff, and we're just going to literally come across and one by one defeat them to the emperor. And I think it's quite thematic, because obviously as we start to take on the noble houses, we have to beat all of them to get to the emperor. So there are his sort of allies, and you can actually see that in the factions screen. So the empire has this ideology called Cult of the Emperor, which is obviously that they have a god emperor called Shaddam the Fifth, which is a reference out of Dune. Dune's emperor is called Shaddam. I think it's Shaddam actually, but I've gone for Shaddan. It's a nod to it anyway. It's a nod to Doom. And as you can see, the Cult of the Emperor is followed by all of the other noble houses. Amboise, Soren, Oswin, and Hesse, apart from Sanguin, which follows the Blood Coven, because obviously we've split off a little bit from the Empire. We are obviously still we are actually yeomen of the Empire, so we'll be doing a bit of royalty to get some honour on Harken, and I'll get into that in a bit later. But yeah, we're still under, for now, the Emperor sees us as one of the noble houses, but obviously we plot to take over the Emperor. And as you can see, the independent kingdoms all have the same kind of, raider philosophy. And then, the fierce Neanderthals have their own sort of tribe. So do the Impids, and so does the Wolf Clan. So they've got their own little kind of thing, ideologies. So yeah, there you go. That's a quick overview of the big goal. To obviously become the Emperor, fight everybody slowly, one by one. Level 1, take out the tribals. Level 2, take out the independent kingdoms, and then on to the Emperor's allies. I think I've made them all. Yeah, here we go. I've made them all. You see the Empire here. They're enemies with the lesser kingdoms and the tribals, but I don't know if you can see, but Amboise is actually allied with the Emperor, and they're all under the same kind of bracket and so away. There you go. So that's the start. I've got obviously a few mods. I'll actually quickly go over the mods now. You can just pause on the screen. These are the mods. That's Sanguin, obviously the main one. Got a few kind of like vampire-y, buildings and little misc stuff. A few bits of the quests. Cool. Right. Here's what I made earlier. Okay, well obviously these are our starting 5. But yeah, as you can see, the map has changed a bit, and we've created our little... I've actually called this, if I zoom out now, I've called this... what I should have called it. Shadow Fang Keep. Which is, of course, a nod to World of Warcraft, if anybody's played that. Shadow Fang Keep is one of the early Horde instances, really fun dungeon. Anyway, and we built a road connecting here to obviously trade with House Sanguin, because they're our main trading partners, and I've also built a road down here, so that when we do go off to kill the Emperor, we can set off basically. So this is my Shadowfang Keep. Obviously Harkin's upgraded his helmet a little bit. He's got a nice crown sort of helmet. Serena's got a nice... well, I'll go through the people and stuff, but we'll first go over the buildings. So I've sort of holed up in this area of the map, as you can see. It's kind of a nice defensible position here that I've kind of eventually gone over, and then I've kind of sealed this bit off here with the water. So I've built some water in that. This is obviously just for a quest, by the way. I'm going to take this building down. It was just to get some loot basically. But yeah, this is the sort of the fortifications. I've tried to kind of emulate a actually what a castle kind of, these are the kind of the towers. Try to kind of emulate castle walls basically, with drawbridges and a moat. And then this is the main entranceway, by the way, where we all hold up. This is the logging hut. So I've got where you make where I make my planks and my timber, where I keep all my raw wood. Yeah, got like a cart, cool things like that. I've done a bit of decoration with like these dark, lampposts and stuff like that. This is just a little room. This particular guy had the greedy trait, which means he wants obviously an impressive bedroom, so I think there's his own room. But usually people live in barracks and the kind of work areas kind of thing. I like to have like a work area, and then like the people that do that particular job, nearby, so they can sleep or whatever, and then wake up and do their job. So that's that. If you look, this is quite a nice thing I've done here. I tried to do a sort of a tower, almost like if you imagine like a dark tower kind of thing. And this is obviously a very fine carpet and the stone. Oh, by the way, the walls are like slate, and the floor is staggered stone tiles, if you see in the bottom left now, and that's made out of marble. So kind of like the white floor with the black walls. And as you can see here, this is Harkin and Serena's bedroom. They're still husband and wife, obviously. I've given them royal, because Harkin is I didn't get too far with the royal titles. He's just a freeholder, and I only made him a freeholder so that he could use the meditation throne, because you have to be, a royal meditation throne has to be used by a royal person. So he had to get that level 1, and that's because he's a Psycaster in the Necropath tree. He's nearly, he's getting quite high. He's nearly got them every, spell, nearly there. I don't think I'm going to give him any other. I was thinking about maybe Night Stalker, but we'll see if there's any other trees look into Psycasting. But yeah, this is his bedroom anyway, and obviously his death rest coffins. So for Harkin and Serena, they've got their own one, because obviously they're still sanguiphages that need the death rest They've got deferous traits, so they need to rest every once in a while. Yep, so that's quite nice. Obviously I've got fireplaces everywhere and, you know, passive coolers to sort of control temperature. Because obviously it is medieval, there isn't any electricity. Back to the sort of entrance here, we've got some nice banners. This is sort of a graveyard. I didn't have a lot of space in the end, actually, unfortunately. I kind of ran out of space. I was hoping to build a bit more of an impressive graveyard, something a bit more interesting, but there you go. The graveyard is used for something, and I'll go over that in a bit. In fact, get the person over there. So yeah, this is like the, let's say, like the church. This sort of, I've called it the Cathedral of the Damned, something like that. It's my worship area anyway, and it's got obviously a few death rest areas in. Why does she have that? She's been sleeping in a death rest column. This is just a human, by the way. I don't know why she's been sleeping. I'll have to... Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'll talk about it in a bit. So yeah, this is like the sort of Cathedral of the Damned. This is my main worship area. And we've got these kind of nice kind of like pillars kind of thing, just to sort of give it a cathedral-y kind of look. It's got Harkin's royal throne. I've got some harps in here and stuff like that. Dark light sort of lighting. You know, like burial urns. I think it looks quite cool. Pick up some urns. More kind of death rest areas. And then like a sort of, almost like a kind of an evil Christian sort of temple look to it. You've obviously got the ideology altar. It's called a Lilith's table, and then a dark light reliquary. And it doesn't show it, but it does have Dracula's chalice in, so our relic. And then yeah, I think that looks quite nice. Moving over now to the sort of the food production area. So Mashinto is my cook. He lives here. God, I've got so many people now. He's over here. And he obviously makes all of our food, basically. You know, we've got the oven, the cooking table and the oven. I've done a bit of decoration, you know. And this is where all the food is kept. I mainly grow kind of like pumpkins because I make pumpkin pie. I thought the pumpkins would be quite, you know, thematic for a sort of, you know, a shadow, you know, a sort of vampire-y kind of look to it. You know, like a dark fortress is the kind of look I was going for. Yeah, we make pumpkin pie. We make, we do make the standard sort of lavish meals with any excess kind of fat or milk with that we get. But yeah, pumpkin pie is the main thing that they eat on the vegetable side. I'll go over the meat stuff in a bit. And we've got, you know, areas for flour and vegetables and stuff. I think the storage options are really cool. Look at this graphic. That looks really nice, I think. We also grow ambrosia as well. I grow that up here in this sort of kind of like hidden away grotto. This is the hospital. I've done it in a kind of in a cross. You know, like the pharmacy logos, so they're all crosses. So I thought that was quite thematic. These are my fields. So at the moment I'm actually growing lentils, and I'll show you why in a bit. But yeah, pumpkins. I got some like scarecrows and some haystacks. You know, kind of trying to make as much decoration as possible. This is my kind of. This is where I throw everything away that I don't use or want. Throw it in the water. My dumping ground sort of thing. But yeah, you can get these little signs actually that sort of, even though it's called the bakery, I mean, this is obviously just where I make make things basically. And if you see, well, obviously this is roofed, but where you do the cooking, this is actually indoors, but this is outdoors. There's no doors here, and it's obviously in the summer, because at the moment it's we're in the sort of end of July. Well, it's July, obviously, Jugas they call it here. But when it gets to winter, it can go to -10. So everything freezes that's outside. So it's actually quite good to have all of your food storage out, just outside, even though it's obviously roofed, it's still outside, because it's the temperature and the seasons provide natural refrigeration. So that's why everything's kind of outside like that. And this is the butcher. I've got 2 people living here. Astura is my main butcher, and what happens is obviously the animals and people or whatever come in here. They get butchered up. They get put on the drying rack to make leather. For example, this is full right here. This is human skin. So we've just had a raid and we've killed some people, and to make leather or human leather. And then if they're wearing any tainted clothing, that's destroyed in these furnaces. The hooks are sort of the storage for the animals. You can see one of the donkeys on there being stored. And then what happens is obviously the leather and the skin goes to dry on the racks, and the meat goes into the smokers to produce this thing called smoked meat. Smoked meat is good. I've got loads of it now. I've got about 980 smoked meats. It's good nutrition. It lasts about 30 days when it comes out, and it can be frozen. It's good nutrition, and it gives a small boost of 2 to mood. And I think it's a really good, because obviously I've got no electricity, so I can't sort of keep meat very long unless you put it in these smokers and you turn it into smoked meat, which is nice because it lasts, as I say, quite a while. 30 days, I think it lasts. Yes, that's the sort of butcher. And then next to the butcher, because obviously I want to keep the animals close that I'm rearing, we've got rocks. Rocks are obviously just massive. They're kind of like massive sheep, cows. I don't know. They've come with the medieval overhaul mod, and they're really good. They provide milk, which I need for my pumpkin pies, and they provide wool, which comes in the form of, it's called Rox wool, and it's good. It's good material. Nice cold insulation, because obviously this can be quite a cold map. It can get to -20. It provides a little bit of sharp resistance. It's not the best, but it's good. It's a good kind of material to keep on getting, because obviously I've got 5 cows, Rox cows, and 1 bull, in case any of them die or something, to replenish the numbers. But yeah, it's a good animal to have to give both milk and wool. Is quite a nice productive animal. Yeah, and then I've just got another little kind of wheat area there, with the fields. So moving on, keeping with the animal theme, this is my stable. Quite proud of this. It's kind of got nice beds instead of like a manger kind of look to it. And I have 14 stallions, so 14 male horses now, because obviously the females only produce the milk for the rocks, but for the horses I've gone for 14 male horses and 1 nag, which is a female, which kind of keeps the numbers in case any of the horses go down. I've got 1 female to sort of keep the population of the horses. But why you want male horses is that you don't want any of them to be pregnant, because obviously that affects moving. So yeah, I've kept, we only travel around with male horses when we do trading or go to attack things. This is the tailor. Pretty self-explanatory. Loads of barrels of leather and of textiles. Pythus is my tailor, and he makes, I'll go through the outfit in a bit. I'll go back to the characters, but he makes all of the cloth items here. Done a bit of decoration. I think it looks quite nice. Moving over here to the tavern or the brewery. You've got all the kind of fermenting barrels and these kind of big large barrel of grapes, and essentially and this is the kind of vineyard bit attached to the brewery, and Dyer is my brewer, and what basically we make is called blood grape must. And it requires grapes and hemogen bottles. Hemogen bottles are obviously harvested from people, from prisoners, and I'll show you that in a bit. And what we do is, we grow the grapes here on these, they're sort of like posts that you grow grapes on. As you can see, they're coming out a little bit here. I can harvest that, but I'm not quite ready to harvest these yet. Get a load of grapes and then process it into I don't have any actually at the moment, but it is called, so you ferment it, it's called, why isn't that there? I must have just built that. Okay, blood wine is what we're after. I don't think I've got any blood wine actually in, because the vampires drink it. I'll get onto the people in a bit, but we make blood wine here basically, which is really good for vampires. They really like drinking it, and it tops up their hemogen bar. Okay, so moving down, we've got the library. And this is obviously, I've kind of decorated it a little bit. It's not the most functional of rooms. I've kind of just done this as like a nice, it's flair. It's, it serves no real purpose. It just looks nice. I don't do any researching in here, but, I've got the sort of the scribe table, which is the communications, the comms hub, or whatever it's called, where you can call, you call factions from here, and you can get because what I do is I call House Sanguin to get trading people over, trade caravans is the word I'm looking for. With the medieval overhaul, you need to collect these books, these schematics, and then put them next to your research bench in order to research specific, researchers. So, for example, if you want to make steel, which is one of the most important, I think, research things, because it's because at the beginning you've only got access to iron. So, if you want to make steel, you need this metallurgy schematic, which you have to get from a trader. So you're kind of sort of limited at the beginning of how much you can actually make and research. It's sort of a nice. So not only is it difficult to research things, it takes longer because of your faction. You also need to unlock the kind of research. It's sort of like in the vanilla, having the jump packs hidden by a tech print. It's sort of like a medieval tech print, and I quite like the concept. It's quite nice. But yeah, these are all the ones that I've got. I wanted the heavy crossbow, the cooking stuff. You need these cooking schematics to unlock all that. Yeah, and I think that it looks quite nice. It's got some nice comfortable chairs and tables. It's sort of like a nice dining room, really. It's called a laboratory technically, but yeah. Some royal bookshelves, yeah, I think it looks quite nice. Books and scrolls and diamonds and stuff. Cool. So talking of trading, you've also then got here the, I mean, I call it an apothecary, but really it's the trading hub. So the trading spot is obviously where all the people that I call in using the scribe table, so they call in and they'll come here, and it's quite nice. You know, it's an enclosed area for them to do the trading in. I'll bring somebody down. I've got these kind of stalls just for aesthetics. There's nothing in them, but they can also, you know, obviously, because there's a few of them in the trading caravan, and they can all stop off and, you know, use the table to eat, and it's quite nice temperature in here. And as I said, these are just thematics here, and they can play games. I've got horseshoe pins. I've got cup and dice, so they can, you know, just chill out here when they're waiting to do trading with me. Cool. Some further fortifications here, but I keep these closed off because I want people to come over here. Is where I want to fight people. Okay, so moving up a little bit, we've got a few more buildings. So I've kind of tried to do this in like a diamond shape, if you notice here, which is obviously the jewelers. This is where I keep all my gold and silver. I also have like rings, you know, sapphires and rubies and stuff like that. I make all my rings in here and jewellery. Because if you go to people's inventory, you can equip them with rings and necklaces, and it provides beauty and social impact. And it, you know, it's quite easy to make jewellery in this game, so it keeps them looking beautiful and helps with social, you know, the social side of things. So the faction can stay fairly friendly with each other. Yep, so that's that little room there. This room here is, you know, obviously kind of a barracks. You know, you've got, you know, everybody living in here, like a rec room, and, you know, I suppose it's like medieval poker Tarocco. I also store like beer and ale in here. I've got nothing at the moment, but, you know, cup and dice, sort of a rec room / barracks. And then over here, because obviously we're now moving into the sort of the cave system back here, because this is outside all here, because you see the roof. This is like the entrance to the caves back here. So I've kind of really built into the mountainside here with the farms and stuff outside, because obviously you can't grow stuff without sunlight. But yeah, this is sort of going back here. So I've got like I've set up a mine in here. So I've got 2 mine shafts and like a kind of a crane. I think that looks thematically quite pleasing. Mike is one of my miners. Yeah, they make my bricks, my blocks. You know, I need marble and slate, obviously, as I said earlier in the video. The walls are slate, and the floor is marble. Yeah, and they also make iron here as well. So what happens is I dig up iron ore from the mine. That gets iron ore. Iron ore gets processed into iron ingots, and then iron ingots get processed into steel. And then I use steel for all of my, you know, armor and helmets and all this. Yeah, I also make coal as well, because coal is good for, you know, I use coal and tar to fuel all of my, because I've obviously got a lot of fires and a lot of lights and lamps. You know, for example, this here, you know, I've stopped using wood for that, and I use coal or tar now, which is, they're quite, now that I've researched tar, it's quite easy to get. So that's the mine. Just going back over here a little bit above the granary and the food area, I've got another barracks. This was my first kind of barracks. And again, I sort of try to do like 2 towers. So one tower here, obviously, which is Harkin's bedroom, and then a tower here, which is for, you know, just everybody really, you know, anyone who wants to live there. And it's just got a nice little kind of like dining area and room of war, which is the poker table of the medieval. I think that looks quite good. And then over here you've got the smithy. I tried to do like the shape of the building is in the shape of an anvil, you know, an anvil kind of thing. I think it looks quite nice actually, so the shape of that. And this is where I make all my, you know, it's kind of like the armory, doubles up as the armory as well. So I'll make all my body armor, my helmets, my shields, my weapons, my crossbows, you know, everything that we need. Yep. And Isabella is my smith, aka the production specialist for the ideology. And she just makes like, I mean, nearly all of my weapons are like masterwork, legendary, whatever. They're really, really good. Yeah. Okay, so as we go into, so that's all the buildings over here, and then right back here, like set into the cave, is Kyburn's laboratory. As you remember Kybun from the beginning, he's my sort of necromancer, medical warden sort of person, researcher, and this is his lab over here. I tried to do it in a shape of a skull. This is supposed to be a skull here with the eyes here. It's kind of lost it a little bit now that I've added loads of bits to it, but we'll go through this. So this is the transmutation circle, and it acts as a kind of a gene extractor. It acts as a well, basically, I'll show you. You put somebody in it. So so this guy's stuck into there, and then you can either extract the soul, which brings out these. They're called soul stones, which are gene packs, just kind of reskinned for the medieval overhaul. And you can extract the soul. So you know if you want to. But what it does is it takes body parts out. So you obviously don't want a prisoner. So if you capture like a hussar or a dirt mole or something, and you want to get a gene from them, you can use this process here to get them. Or what you can do is you can assemble soul. And as you can see, this takes you into. I've got all the genes that I've managed to get. Yeah, you can give human beings xenotypes. So obviously I've altered this person, and I've got them specialized. This person's just a thrall, which is just basically a hauler, and I just made them good at fighting. Basically, they're not good at anything else. Yeah, that's the transmutation circle. You need a skill of 8 intellectual to use it. So Kybun and Harkin are really the only people that can actually, use the transmutation circle as in upgrade my people. But the problem is you can't put a sanguiphage in the transmutation circle. It will delete all of this xenotype and give them the new one. So I've had to sort of. What I did is I started with Serena, and I've got like a little mod where if I eject one of these soul stones, I can actually consume it, and when you consume soul stones, it adds it nicely into here, into the xenogene. Instead of, because if you do it on the transmutation circle, infuse soul it's called, it'll wipe all of these out. But this will just simply, so if I was to literally consume this fireproof gene right here, it would just simply add it to Serena's. It wouldn't delete anything. So what I've done with Serena and with Harkin, obviously, to create more vampires, because I've got, at the moment, I've got Serena. You know, I started with Harkin and Serena as the only vampires, but then I've added you know, more vampires. I've got all of them now. You know, I've got Cersei, Victor, Marcus, etc. And they have, because the Sanguiphage has the implant gene, they've sort of, I've basically made sure Serena and Harkin had really, you know, the sort of, you know, good genes, and then I started creating more vampires. So Cersei, Marcus, they've all nearly basically got a copy of Hark, you know, because yeah, they duplicated themselves and their gene from there. That's what I'm trying to say. Cool. So going back to Harkin's lab, Qyburn's lab. You know, he's got like research bench, research stuff. There's that metallurgy schematic I was talking about. You know, got a bit of decoration. Got the room of war thing over here, and the scribe table, research bench, some books and stuff, alchemy bench. Over here I've got like a big iron stew pot, and basically the lab breaks off into two prison wings. So east is where like I'll have potential recruits and people that I need to, you know, I want to recruit into the faction. And on the left here are my blood bags, essentially, where I keep them as a hemogen farm. When I need more hemogen, I've got loads at the moment actually, so I've stopped farming blood from them. But yeah, obviously I keep my prisoners in here. And I think I really like the prison, by the way. I think that looks really good here, you know, with the jail doors and the gates, and so they sleep on like bed rolls in their cells and stuff. Looks really nice, I think. But obviously they need feeding. So Qyburn is also a cook now. I've made him cook meals for the prisoners, because obviously Qyburn's kind of stays in his lab here. Oh, that's interesting. Doesn't have that. Oh, okay. Qyburn stays up in his lab, and he obviously cooks for the prisoners. He's a warden, he's a researcher, so he kind of just stays in this little area. He doesn't need to venture far. But there's like food, like lentils is what, as I said, what I was growing earlier, and bones I bring up here, because that makes bone soup and lentil soup, and he feeds that to the prisoners. So the prisoners have a separate diet. They don't eat pumpkin pie and smoked meat. They eat, you know, soup and broth, which I think is quite dramatic. You know, like that's what prisoners would get in medieval time, just like leftover, cooked into a soup. And Qyburn makes that for them and gives, you know, distributes it to them. And I've got sort of little kind of food storage areas at the back here. I took out, because obviously this is all, if you look in the bottom left hand corner, this is overhead mountain, and I've carved out 2 squares here so that, as I said earlier, when it does get to winter, all of these lentils will freeze, and it's natural preservance. It preserves it, sorry. Cool. So Qyburn also, because he's obviously one of the main characters, I've given him quite, just like Harkin and Serena have a really lovely bedroom. Qyburn is a very elite member of my squad, and he gets his own little like living room, yeah, like common room sort of thing. He gets like a nice piano and a table and the chessboard, and you know, I've got like a grandfather clock, and then some gargoyles and stuff. And then obviously this leads into his bedroom at the back, where he's got like this fireplace isn't actually functional. It doesn't actually work like my, you know, like provides heat. But I think it just looks quite nice here. You know, it's got like a nice picture and a mirror and a wardrobe, you know, nice bed. And he got married to Isabella, which I thought was quite interesting. He kind of really, they took a liking to each other very early on. And Isabella's my smith, my production specialist, who works over here. So actually, to work, it doesn't have to go too far actually. So obviously Kaiban just stays in his lab, but Isabella goes down to the smithy, and then comes back here. So I think that's quite good, quite thematic. This bit here, by the way, is an ancient danger that I cleared out. I've just kind of left it though, you know, whatever. But yeah, these are the kind of cave networks. I put a bit of lighting in there to help people along. And this is the Ambrosia grotto, little bit there, because obviously that's outside. By the way, I didn't make that. That was naturally like that, which I thought was really cool. But yeah, that's the base. I think it looks really nice. I'm really proud of it. Funnily enough, I'm actually not satisfied with it whatsoever though. I am going to probably go to a new map. I'm gonna keep my like, I'm not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep my people and this save, but I'm just gonna go to a new tile because I've kind of set up in the mountains over here. I'm now going to go to a new tile and probably create an actual fortress. You know, like just like a nice, no hills, like just like a, yeah, that'd be really nice, I think. And to create an actual castle. Okay, brilliant. Well, I think that's all for the intro episode. As I said, this is just the intro episode. I just wanted to show you where it is. We'll get into some fighting later. I think the first people to kill will be the imps. Oh, sorry, actually, just before we move on. So obviously Greyback and Greymere, they're werewolves. You know, they can turn into werewolves and that. Looks quite cool. Different forms of werewolf. So they've got their own kind of look to them. However, the vampires of the team have I've given them adorned steel plate Sanguin armor, you know, which kind of looks like that. If I get rid of that, that's what it looks like. So it's got like a kind of a cape, looks very vampire-y. And then if you look at, and then this is just the standard steel Sanguin plate, so adorned steel, and as you can see, it's got the cape as the only real difference to it. My vampires wear the royal armor, obviously, because they're in the faction. They're the sort of the higher, you know, higher up. They also have a nice Sanguin helmet, whereas the humans, so the non-vampires, the other sort of, I call them thralls, or the, you know, the lower peasants of the faction. They have a slightly different helmet and a different, you know, as I said, body. The thralls, and most of them are equipped with crossbows, and the two crossbows I've gone with is the repeater crossbow, which I think it reminds me of Van Helsing, you know, the werewolf film, sorry, the vampire werewolf film, Van Helsing, with Hugh Jackman in, which was an absolute classic when I was a 14-year-old. Really enjoyed that film. Van Helsing had a repeating crossbow in that. And also, for the longer range, is the arbalist, which is, you know, because that's more of a single shot crossbow, but it's got better range and it's got better firepower. Whereas the repeater crossbow fires 4 shots, but it's got lower damage, so it's better for close range. So I sort of just, you know, when I've got people attacking, I'll position my people here and shoot, you know, into there as they're trying to break through. my melee, because I've got melee characters as well. So, as I said, there's kind of 3 types of people living at my castle. There's obviously the vampires, the elite, who are literally their skills are only in melee and shooting. They don't really do anything else. They've got really nice armor. They've got long range crossbows, and then you've got the lighter armored thralls, the humans, with repeater crossbows, and then you have got the zombies. Obviously, Kaiben is my necromancer. I've got this mod where you can create zombies. What you have to do though is you've got to get a colonist. Capture a prisoner, convert them, then recruit them normally as you would, and then starve them to death, and then bury them in a grave, and then a few days later they arise as a zombie. As you can see, Dim here has had that horrific transformation happen to him. It gives you this whole body, Hedith, I think they're called, a status on the pawn. They feel no pain. However, they're a bit kind of slower moving. Oh no, sorry, the zombies are faster moving, but the consciousness is reduced. So they don't eat for a start, but their manipulation is a little bit damaged. So it takes longer for them to pick up things, to put on, as you could just see here, it took him a while to put on his helmet, because he's a little bit more clumsy, basically, is what I think they were trying to do. But what the main benefit of a zombie and having your colonists in this state is that they don't sleep or eat. They do have the recreation bar still, so they do like to sort of like play on, do the archery range, or play on the chessboard or whatever. And they do like drugs, actually, so I give them ambrosia, which keeps them, keeps the recreation bar filled. They play music and stuff like that. However, they don't sleep or eat, so they work 24 hours around the clock. And what I've sort of done with the zombies is I've made them all melee characters. So for example, Dim's a good example. They came with the brawler trait, so I was like, okay, great. So they've got extra melee, extra melee hit chance, and because zombies don't eat, you can have their metabolic efficiency as quite really, basically, if they were a regular pawn, they'd be eating every 5 seconds. But because they're a zombie, they don't have an eating bar, a food bar. So what they're really good at though is great melee, strong melee damage. They're robust, super clotting, super fast healing. I've made them a real kind of melee focused presence. And Dim just is a hauler, because they're a zombie. They don't. I forbid them from doing any kind of specialist. So they wouldn't be a doctor. They wouldn't be a crafter. What they mainly do is hauling and plant work. So I make them tend the fields, actually. Some of them know how to tend the fields. They only do plants, hauling, and melee fighting. One's a miner as well, actually, which I've allowed. 2 are miners, sorry. Kish as well. And they are equipped with, just like kind of just steel armor, a helmet. They all have maces, I gave them, and a kite shield. They've also got like gloves and, and stuff like that. I gave them leather boots though, because it increases their move speed, but the rest of them, they're completely plated up. They're completely loads of armor. Oh yeah, just another quick look at, so obviously for the other pawns, they've got like helmet, body armor and legs, and then they've just got like trousers, gloves, and boots. Same for them with the necklaces as well. Even the zombies have necklaces, by the way, because they get -2 beauty with their thing. So I wanted them to keep their beauty at least. You know, I've also given them the attractive Xeno gene, so it kind of balances it out. Because if they're too ugly, they'll start fights and stuff, and they'll get angry and beat people up and things like that. And they're quite bad. You know, they're quite nasty melee characters. So yeah, they do my frontline work, and then the thralls and the vampires do all the range shooting. Yeah, I mean that's pretty much it. I think that's Castle Wolfenstein or Shadowfang Keep, whatever you want to call it. And we're now in a position. So I think I'm going to go away now and create Castle Wolfenstein. I'm going to do that off screen, but I'll kind of now record me venturing out with my horses and going to start to complete our objectives. So defeat all the tribals first, and then move on to the lesser houses, and then move on to the Emperor himself. I think that's the plan. I've really enjoyed it. I've really been inspired. It's been really nice. The medieval mod is just so nice to work with. Really appreciate the person who made that. The team. Just loads of really fun storage and like the aesthetics to it. They just look amazing. Yep. Okay, bro. Thank you for the watching the intro. If you have got this far, and see you in the next one. Thank you. Take care.